Happy Father's Day. It's one of those days we celebrate, but do we truly grasp the significance of our Father's presence? In Club Shay Shay podcast, Damien says something that hit home. Let's watch it.
The greatest gift my father ever gave us was coming home.
Coming home. Think about that for a second. It's not the grand gestures, the gifts, or even the words of love that we can get periodically. It's simply being there. And that's what a real father does. But what happens when that presence isn't there? What does that do to you? Using myself as an example, I didn't grow up with my biological father. My reality was totally different. But I often looked to my heavenly father, and I had so many men in my life who stepped up and showed me the importance of presence, even without words. Coaches, mentors, uncles, and elders. Each one was like a light in a season of darkness. And I know I'm not alone. If you grew up in the Black community, or any community where fatherhood wasn't always guaranteed, you know what it's like to feel that absence. And that absence, it leaves a space that only presence can fill. Real quick, if your father is still alive and you haven't spoken with him at all, go get the other half of the story. I saw this post on TikTok, and a man was talking about how he only grew up with his mom and had only heard her side of the story. Until one day he realized, let me go hear him out. So he sat down with his pops, and after years of silence, they reconnected. Turns out his dad had a whole different story. Now they're closer than ever. Because there's always two sides to a story. And sometimes healing starts with a conversation, not always a comfortable one, but it's necessary. And you see, society often paints the narrative that Black fathers aren't present. But let's be real. Fatherlessness is not just a Black community issue. It's not just in our neighborhood. This is an American issue. More importantly, this is a global issue. From cities to villages, from the US to overseas, fatherlessness is widespread. And God, He knew we'd face this. He said in Psalms 82, 3 and 4, to tend to the fatherless and care for the needy. Why? Because He knew we needed guidance. He knew mentorship would matter. He knew the value of a father figure could never be overstated. Presence is not a luxury, it's a necessity. But let's get back to that quote. The greatest gift my father ever gave us was coming home. That's it right there. Presence is power. It's not always about having all the answers. It's not about having all the money or material things. It's about showing up when it counts. Consistently, quietly, and steadily. And here's the thing. Even if your biological father wasn't there, someone was. Maybe it was a teacher, a neighbor, a pastor, a friend's dad who treated you like their own. Whether it's a blood father or a spiritual father or a mentor, that presence shapes us, builds us, plants seeds of strength in places we didn't even know we were weak. So here's my challenge for you. Take a moment and close your eyes. Who showed up for you? Who was there in your dark season, your lost season, or your growing season? What did that mean to you? Okay, come back. Would you drop a praying hands in the comments if you had someone who showed up for you? I want us to flood the comments with gratitude. Not because it was perfect, but because their presence mattered. Now, maybe you didn't have anyone who showed up. That's real too. But now you can be that presence for someone else. You can break the cycle. Be what you needed. Show up. You know, we've all been shaped by the presence or absence of fathers in our lives. But I want to ask you something. Are you repeating the same pattern that you experienced? Maybe you never had that father figure, or maybe the one you had wasn't fully present. But if we're not careful, we can end up repeating the same behaviors with the next generation. Are you showing up for your kids, your brothers, or the young ones in your community the way you needed someone to show up for you? It's easy to get caught up in the cycle, but breaking it starts with one decision: to show up, to give what you never received, and to build the foundation for a better future, one moment at a time. So many of us are walking around with wounds that never got a word of healing. We're waiting for our fathers to say, I'm proud of you. Waiting for an apology that never came. Waiting for answers to questions we were too afraid to ask. But I want to remind you of this today. God sees you. Your story is not over, and healing is still possible. Whether your father was present, inconsistent, or even present and loving, the challenge remains. Will you show up for others the way someone showed up for you? Because that's what legacy is all about. Honor the man who showed up for you. Reach out to the ones you haven't heard from, and start the uncomfortable conversation. If your father is still alive and you haven't spoken to him in years, go get the other half of the story. Drop a praying hands in the comments if you had someone who showed up for you, and drop a lightning bolt if you plan to be the one who shows up for the next generation. Let's flood this comment section with love, growth, and real truth. So today, as we reflect on the ones that showed up and the ones that didn't, ask yourself, what kind of presence will you be? Continue to find your why and walk in truth. Too true.